You've probably been scrolling through endless robot vacuum ads, wondering if any of them actually live up to the hype, or if you're just going to drop a few $100 on a gadget that barely makes a dent in the messes you deal with every day. I get that hesitation, the fear of buying something that sounds great on paper but ends up gathering dust in the corner while you still have to sweep and mop by hand. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's dig into why the Shark PowerDetect UV Reveal might be the one that finally earns its spot on your floor, and when it's probably not worth the investment. First off, the biggest question most people have is, does this robot actually handle the kind of messes that make life stressful? If you have pets that shed, accidents that leave stains, or a mix of carpet and hardwood throughout the house, the promise of high suction power and hypersonic mopping can feel like a lifeline. The unit pairs a fairly robust suction system with a mop that heats up and then dries the floor, which is a step up from the usual wet-only mop heads you see on cheaper models. In practice, that means when the robot rolls over a wet spill, the heat helps the liquid evaporate faster, so you're less likely to see streaks or lingering damp spots on your tiles or hardwood. For a family with a Labrador who drags mud in from the yard, that quick dry action can be a real time saver. What really sets this Shark model apart is the UV stain detection feature. It's essentially a built-in UV light that scans the floor for hidden pet messes that are invisible to the naked eye. Think those subtle urine spots that can cause odors or discoloration over time. When the robot spots something, it flags the location on its map and can either target that area with a more thorough mop pass or let you know it needs a deeper clean later. If you've ever tried to locate a pet's accident only to end up with a vague smell, this can be a game changer. It's not a magic wand that erases stains instantly, but it does give you actionable info you wouldn't otherwise have. Another selling point is the self-clean, self-empty base. The robot docks on a Thermacharged NeverTouch station that automatically empties the dustbin, washes the mop cloth, and even dries it before the next cycle. For anyone who hates the chore of emptying a tiny dust cup after every run, this is a major convenience. The base also recharges the robot, so you can set it to run overnight without worrying about battery life dropping mid-clean. In real-world testing, the system can hold several weeks' worth of debris before you need to manually empty the larger bin in the base, which cuts down on maintenance frequency. That said, the base itself is a fairly bulky piece of equipment. It takes up a decent amount of floor space and needs to be placed near a power outlet, which can be a snag in smaller apartments or tight hallways. Now let's talk mapping. The Shark PowerDetect uses precision home mapping to learn the layout of your home, including carpeted zones, hardwood, and even the edges where walls meet the floor. It can create separate cleaning schedules for each floor type, which is useful if you have a plush carpet in the living room but a sleek tile kitchen. The robot also focuses on edges and corners, a spot where many cheaper robots tend to miss. In a house with a lot of baseboards, you'll notice a cleaner line along the wall after a cycle, something that's often overlooked by budget models that simply bounce around. All of those features sound impressive, but they come with trade-offs you should weigh before hitting add to cart. The first practical weakness is the robot's size. It's a bit larger than the compact units you might find under a sofa or in a tight closet, which means it can have trouble slipping under low-profile furniture. If you have a dining table with a clearance of 6 inches, this robot might skim over it instead of going underneath. That's not a deal-breaker if you don't rely on it for those hidden dust bunnies, but it's something to keep in mind if you have a lot of low furniture. Second, the UV detection works best on light-colored floors because the UV light needs contrast to spot stains. Dark hardwood or heavily patterned rugs can mask the UV signal, making the feature less reliable in those scenarios. So, if most of your flooring is dark, you won't get the full benefit of the stain spotting tech. Third, the price point is noticeably higher than a basic robot vacuum. You're paying for the self-empty base, heated mop, and UV sensor all in one package. If you're on a tight budget and primarily need a vacuum for daily crumbs, you might be better off with a less featured model and a separate mop you can run when needed. The Shark's value really shines when you have a blend of carpet,